Football with friends is fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap here with Cody Carpentier on a big Friday, a Final Takes Friday. You guys know the rules. It's going to be a very special Final Takes Friday. Make sure and get your votes in below here on the YouTube to let us know who the king of Final Takes is. Going to be a kind of a little bit of an abbreviated show today as I have a hard out for stuff with the kids tonight. So sorry about that, but we're gonna go through it quick. Cody, with that said, let's just get right into it, dude. Do you want to start with one of yours? Do you want me to start with the war room stuff from yesterday? I really wanted to talk about the whole thing about the NIL nugget that you had from your NIL nuggets of the week. We have so much. So much to get to, so little time.
Let's start with this then. This is according to Deloitte. Deloitte, again, I don't know the best way to kind of explain this. Somebody asked about it in the comments yesterday, and basically the way I replied to it was Deloitte is essentially going to be the NIL clearinghouse if and when everything kind of gets pushed through. They'll be the team. They'll be the guys that just kind of like check through stuff. So the report came from Ross Dellinger in a meeting with Deloitte officials at ACC spring meetings this week. The company shared with ADs and coaches some interesting figures on the NIL clearinghouse theory. 70% of past deals from booster collectives would have been denied. 70%. Now, there's also a stat next to it that says 90% of deals from public companies would have been approved. So public companies would mean, for Texas conversations, would mean what? That would be like car dealerships, right? And then the collectives would be essentially perceived as today kind of as like cash.
Yeah.
70% would be denied according to Deloitte.
But 90% of the corporate ones, they say, would go through.
But that, to me, like the way I'm understanding this, and maybe I'm wrong, I want to hear how you're understanding it, is the collective ones that would be denied, they're probably getting denied because it's basically cash, which is pay for play.
Yes.
And then the other side of it would be like, hypothetically, you get a Lamborghini from a dealership and you have to show up to a couple of events. That is name, image, likeness, right?
Yes, it's true name, image, and likeness. That's what I'm saying, dude. Cody, I feel like I've been saying this the whole time. I think that 2026 is spend it while you can. You're not going to be able to offer these guys this much money to go to the Austin Animal Rescue Shelter twice a year and say we're going to give you $1 million from this collective. Deloitte's can say no. That isn't you can't do that. Like that isn't worth that. Now if somebody out there in the free market, Red Bull wants to give Arch Manning $2 million for use of his name, image, and likeness, or Uber wants to do it for their Waymo service, or all the, I forgot what his luxury line of clothing is. Someone in the chat will know. Yeah. If somebody wants him to, pay him for that, it's like, well, then we're talking about a free market enterprise. We're talking about something where Deloitte can't come in and say no, like that. But like Red Bull, Nike, these companies, Dr. Pepper wanted to pay Quinn Ewers last year to be on the sheriff of Fansville. Like, and if they want to pay him $1 million to do that, they could pay him $1 million to do that, right? That's the free market at work. That's them paying you for your true name, image, and likeness. Whereas these NIL collectives, as much as we love the Texas One Fund and whatever, they're going to look at that and say, like, this is not in line with the private marketplace. You know what I mean? It's just, they're going to say that this isn't, you're paying this guy too much for whatever it is that you're getting out of this deal.
So here's the other side of that. I'm just going to say it out loud because it'll be whispered. It's been whispered. I've read it. Then, if there's telling collectives that your payments will not be accepted, they will be denied, I'm going to pay Alex Dunlap $1 million to come to Texas. Wrong. You're not. You can't do that. That's pay for play. Okay. Then I'm going to give the Honda dealership down the street $1 million, and they're going to give him a Honda Accord with $1 million in the trunk.
I don't know. I mean, there could be ways to get around it like that, but I mean, that's just kind of like, then we're back to the good old days of cheating.
But aren't we just? I know we could talk about this for literally a whole show, but isn't that literally just what's going to happen unless there's a CBA? Period. You're never going to not have teams bobbing
Look,
and weaving.
what I mean, in a perfect world, what they would say is, look, we can offer you. Say it's a guy that you really want, right? Say it's last year's Justice Terry, and you have this salary cap now, and you have the NIL collective, and what you can tell them is you can say, look, we're going to give you this portion of the salary cap. It's what we give our biggest name dudes, right? And you're going to have the availability through and the resources through the Texas One Fund to be able to go and get these big NIL deals. And your agent can work your NIL deals too. But coming to Texas, you're going to have a giant platform. This is the kind of deals that our guys have signed. They've signed this and this and this. But they'll have to go through the clearinghouse. We'll have to do the rest of it, right? And then it's just like that. That'll be that. It would be like, but if you're asking us, we can't guarantee you 3 million. Like there are guys on our roster making 3 million. But that's some of that stuff. Like you're gonna get $1.1 million from us. Through the collective will make sure you're hooked up with the local dealership for your car. We definitely have some introductions that we can make and stuff like that. But you're still talking about life-changing money. I think that's the way it's gonna have to go, man. They're not gonna be able to give as much money as they're giving right now. It's just a simple fact of the matter. If Dellinger's report is saying that 70% of these NIL collective payments would have been overturned by Deloitte, well, we now know that Deloitte sees this as the same way that we do, and that's not NIL, that's pay for play. So pay for play is going to be going away. And yes, unless you want to skirt the rule and stick it in a Chick-fil-A bag, and I don't know.
Hey, what's this Honda Accord with 19 Chick-fil-A bags in the trunk for?
Yeah. And why would they be getting an Accord?
You like that?
Can't you send them a Ridgeline?
Well, that's that low key thing, right? You don't send a mule across the country in a Mercedes. You send them across the country in an Accord.
All right. So we had the War Room yesterday. Thoughts on some of my team reporting from the War Room. Again, nothing going on with the team. This was just I talked to a couple of sources around the team. One of the things that got brought up was the wide receivers. Not saying that they're disappointed in the young guys like the Jamie Frenches and the Michael Terrys, the Khalil Lockett's and the Dalen McCutcheons. But I just heard, from what I heard, the guy just basically said, "Man, you're going to see the top four guys a lot, and that includes Emmett Mosley, and it includes Parker Livingstone, it includes Ryan Wingo, it includes DeAndre Moore, and we might, I don't think that we're going to be." At least to start the season, or unless something happens through fall camp, it feels like those guys, they look good. They're excited about them, but they did feel like, towards the end, there was definitely sort of, DeAndre Moore not really out there practicing as much. Wingo actually coming back and practicing towards the end of spring. There was it's just, those guys they were still early spring enrollees. They need to see more out of them before they run them out there for just right out the gate for a whole bunch of snaps. Your thoughts?
I get it. I think it makes sense. It's spring. It's quick. I know we've got a couple of names that we've heard that have had pretty good springs, notably of recent KJ Lacey, supposedly taking over Trey Owens' spot at number 2. We've heard some positive things about Nick Brooks playing tackle. On defense, you've heard a little bit of Cade Phillips, but obviously we've watched Jonah Williams play baseball. But there's a big class of 25 dudes, 26 dudes that came in, and 25 dudes that came in, and it's like you haven't heard. Yeah, you really haven't heard James Simon's name. You really haven't heard Orogbo's name, Sharma. You haven't heard a lot of these names, so it shouldn't really shock us. 15 practices is a lot, but it's also not a lot. And the whole goal of the spring for Sark was, he said, like, the reason he formatted it the way he did and did, the OTA style, not only because everything's changing, but because he knew how young some of these guys were and how much he wanted to get them ramped up. So I'm not going to bite off too much into the overreaction side of this, other than to say, if it's August 10th and we're having this conversation, or August 15th, and we're like weeks away from Ohio State, and we're still hearing, yeah, man, these freshmen probably aren't even going to touch the field in week 1 or week 2. Like, well, week 2, that'd be a problem. But week 1, then I'll probably have some worries there. But honestly, man, after I went through and I did like some wide receiver rankings this week and across the country, I think Texas is in a fine spot with Mosley and Moore and Wingo and Livingston. So I'm not. It's cool. It's fine. More worried about the defensive line group than I am the receivers.
Well, that brings me to the next note from the war room, just about the defensive line, just on the kind of like, I guess, like, not good news, bad news, or maybe just like it is what it is. Is that on one hand, they are more sold on Cole Brevard than I would have ever really thought. The person I talked to said that that's the best. He's the best as far as the interior defensive line, and they are
Positivity.
What?
Positivity.
Yeah, they're all guns blazing about Murad Watson too. They're super excited about him. They really think he's going to come in and give a real boost. Now, if he comes in on the first, I don't know if on the first day of fall camp he'll be lining up with the starters, because that's not generally the way they do it. But I do think he gets here in the summer. He reports for summer workouts. That could be something where he can prove himself during the summer, and we could easily see Brevard and Watson out there to start on the first day of fall camp. From what I'm getting behind the scenes, it's because I was just told that, look, Josiah Sharma and Travis Shaw, I just was told those guys won't start. So, and that Alex January is still playing a little light, whatever that means. So, I think that with Shaw, I think he just needs time. They took it kind of easy on him through this spring practice. I still think that he could be a significant contributor. I think that January, still, we've seen that guy during portions of his career from his he had an up and down high school career, even, right? Really good sophomore year, kind of a down junior year, and then the senior highlights were just really awesome. I think that he's a guy that we've seen, at points, like, really, like, light bulbs flip on for him. So I think that we could see it with January. I feel like Sharma is just one of these guys that they're like, yeah, get him in. He's big. He looks awesome, but we're not gonna really expect too much out of him this year. Your thoughts on all this? Does it matter now? Is it just kind of May scuttlebutt that's not going to mean anything once fall camp comes around?
I love the Watson and the Brevard note. I'm worried that you didn't hear anything about Canoe, but it's kind of expectation based on what we've heard the last 2 months.
I haven't heard anything about him.
He's got a lot. He's pretty new to the sport, so
Yeah.
Hopefully that's one that can kind of pop through towards the end of the year, and then that'll enhance your ability to not have to go into the portal next winter, because this guy's taking a step, sitting in the program for a year and learning. The January thing, like Shaw, I'm cool. I'll wait. The fact that now they got 2 guys they really like allows Shaw to take a little pressure off, and they can make sure that dude's ready to play, and they can probably control his snaps. Like, this guy's 350 pounds. Like, you're not control his snaps anyways.
Yeah.
The thing though, you said Alex January. Can you rephrase that?
So I just wrote down, I was just writing it. It says playing light.
He's 317 pounds. He's 6'5", 317. And like, to me, when you watch him, he holds a lot of weight in his ass and legs.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
I'm not saying I think I'm just passing along.
No, I know, but I'm just saying. So I'm trying to like theorize it right here. Like, that's where I got caught. You were talking. I was like, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean? He's playing light? Because like, we know he's not like he's 280. He's not Justice Terry. He's not 285. Right? He's 317. At least what he's listed at on the website. So does that tell me that, like, again, I know he carries a lot of weight in the lower half. Is that telling me that he's not strong enough in the upper body? Does he need to like sit under a bench every single day for the next 2 months and get that upper body right? Do trap work, do posterior. Like, does he need to get his body right? Or does that just mean he's weak? I don't know. I'm trying, like, again, let's circle back. Ready? You were at one practice and it was the first one.
Yeah.
We would know a lot more if you would have went to practice 9, but you didn't get to. So we'll have to wait until July.
And then some good news from this guy, and I've heard it from everybody. They say that the offensive line is good. They say that they're actually good, which to
That
me
means NATO's good then.
I think it kind of means NATO's good. And I asked, well, what about Brandon Baker? And I was like, what Cody and I sometimes talked about, can Nick Brooks maybe go over there if he's been looking so good? And this guy said that Nick Brooks looks good, but there's no way he pushes for a starting OL or a start. There's no way he pushes to start.
Well, that answers all of our question then. That means that the hierarchy should be Baker, Kojo, Brooks.
Yeah. Well, if this report is correct, I kind of think it is.
Well, it makes sense. Both those guys have been in the program for a year. Brooks has been in the program for like a bag of chips, like literally a month.
Yeah. I think it's good for Brandon Baker.
I like it. I like the sound of it. Hopefully he has some sand in his shorts. Hopefully he's not playing light.
Yeah. So, I mean, that'll be something we keep an eye on. I'll be super interested that first practice. If it's some kind of thing where Andre Kojo's out there at right tackle for that first practice, I'll
throw the papers in the air.
My steam will come out of my ears. Not that I don't want him to play. It's just like, how many times is this narrative going to go back and forth about this right tackle and who's the starter?
Yeah.
It's just absolutely wild to me. All right. What do we have next year for final takes? We have a couple more to get to.
I'll pop one up.
All right.
I ranked Ohio State as the best wide receiver room in college football. I got a column up. I did a special one because it's summer, so I'm trying to do some special columns on like rankings and positional stuff across the country. And I put Ohio State number 1 again. I did it last year as well. They lost Igbuka, but they still got Jeremiah Smith, who's the best receiver in football.
And they got Cornell Tate still.
Yep. And Brendan Innes, who was the number 1.
That's the best that's the best.
And he was the best in 2023. And then they got Quincy Porter, who's number 6 in this class. But it's probably Clemson who's actually the best, with Antonio Williams, Bryant Wesco, and TJ Moore.
No.
It's about the wide receiver core. It's not about the best receiver. So if you took away the best receiver.
No, because here's the thing. Cornell Tate's going to be a superstar too.
I think you're right. But I just wanted to ask that question. So I have Jeremiah Smith as the number 1 receiver by himself. Cornell Tate's number 6 receiver by himself. Antonio Williams from Clemson's 4, and Bryant Wesco's 9. So technically, yes.
Where did you rank Texas on that list?
So 1's Ohio State, 2 is Clemson, 3 is Auburn, 4 is Penn State, 5 is LSU, 6 is Alabama, 7 is Texas, 8 is Oregon, 9 is Georgia Tech, 10 is Indiana, 11 is Georgia.
10 is Georgia Tech, huh? Even after they lost
9 is Georgia Tech.
Even if they lost Singleton? Who's their best?
They got Eric Rivers from Florida International. If they would have kept Singleton, I don't know if they would have gotten Rivers, but if they would have kept Singleton and then got Rivers, dude, that core would probably be 4, 5.
Didn't Penn State add some receivers?
Penn State added 3. They added Kyron Hudson from USC, who looks sick on some of the Penn State spring camp film. Trevor Pena from Syracuse, the kid that wanted $2 million, and then Devonta Ross, who was the receiver that was at Troy with Matthew Caldwell. You said that who's the running back that you talked about from Troy that caught your eye?
It was
he's at Ole Miss now.
I forget his name.
So he's at Ole Miss now, and then the receiver that caught my eye is this guy Ross. I didn't realize he was at Penn State. He's at Penn State now. So they got 3 portal guys in.
So where are they in your rankings?
4th.
And where's Texas? 6th?
7.
And are you just considering the top 3 to 4?
Basically, what I did was you have to have at least 3 guys worth note to qualify. It's a non-qualified qualifier. So Georgia Tech has 3 guys of note, but I think they're 3 studs. And then but I basically wanted to see if you had like 5. If you had 5 good dudes of depth, that really was there's no point system to this. It's more so just like I based it off of collegiate output, expectations for this year, notes from spring camp, things of all this nature. Not draft capital or anything like this. It's just more college football based. So like Indiana's got 2 good receivers for college football. I'm not sure how good they're going to be for pros, but they're like quintessential Big Ten receivers.
Quintessential drinks for the ranch are definitely ranch waters, and to use those, you need tequila, you need sparkling water, generally Topo Chico, right? Just delicious. I think fairly low in calories, no sugar, and squeeze a lime in it. You can get everything that you need for that over at Specs.
It's tequila time. Who's ready for a margarita? Shake things up all month long with discounts on Blancos, Reposados, and Añejo tequila during Specs Tequila Sale.
All right, Cody. So I asked about Penn State because I wanted to, there's this this note we put in here about ESPN's Mark Schlabach. He has Penn State and Clemson ahead of Texas in his post-spring top 25. Do you have thoughts on that? And also all these thoughts. Here's what I keep thinking: are the Grits just getting overcooked now with Clemson?
No.
Everybody putting him at number 1, number 2.
No, I don't think so.
But because here's the thing. We weren't talking about Cade Klubnik as the number 1 pick in next year's draft or anything like that, basically until after the Texas game.
Correct.
And he looked great in that game, but that did not – if you go back and look, man, that's not how he looked in all season.
That's not what it's about, though. Remember, C.J. Stroud, what game was it that put him over the top?
Well, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
If you can show it, you got it. And now he's in our year. Like there was a report from Albert Breer week after the combine about conversations he had with front office people that said if Aller and Klubnik would have been in this class, Aller probably would have pressed for being a top 10 pick and Klubnik would have pressed to be a first round pick. And those are the 2 names that were brought up.
And with Aller, is it just as dude? If he doesn't produce this year with these wide receivers, it's like I'm going to start thinking that this whole thing is super fraudulent.
So, yes, if he can't do it with this backfield and with these receivers, no dice. This is going to be. We'll talk about this for the next 8, 10 months, 12 months. But if Aller can't do it with this in college, dude, this is the situation where they go. People will tell you like. If somebody never did something, why do you think they can do it? Like if he never did it with this, why do you think he could do it with, the Browns with no weaponry? Why?
Yeah.
No, but I don't think they're grit. The grits are cooked with Clemson either. I think Clemson's got a sicko receiving core, a sicko quarterback, and that defense is going to be nasty. I think Clemson's. I haven't put together like a definitive rankings or anything, but I think Clemson's 100% a top 5 team in America right now.
All right. Top 5 episode of Final Takes, even though it is an abbreviated one. Now, you can email us, fwfemails@gmail.com. You can find us on X, at Cody Carpentier, at Alex Dunlap NFL. Thanks so much to everybody for being here. We'll be back on Monday with a normal show. But yeah, man, just pumped to be here. Thank you guys so much for being here with us. Please like the show, subscribe to the channel. If it's your first time watching the show, just come back and watch us again. And if you dig the show, send it to one of your friends who you think might like it. We would certainly appreciate it. All right. Big weekend coming up. You guys have some fun. Enjoy it. Be safe. Don't do anything that we wouldn't do. All right. Love you all. God bless. For Cody, I'm Alex. We're done.